Hello everybody and welcome back. This is Insights into the Amazon. So what I'm going to be covering off in this little segment is where I ended the last segment. Basically, I had flown over to the South America. I had met up with a guy friend and we'd basically gone on this massive journey together. Now, as much as I was going to leave the journey there, I decided what I was going to do actually is give you another insight into my ayahuasca journey and actually a little bit more around that trip. I told you how that trip ended, so I've kind of like ruined the ending for you. But I want to give you a few insights into that. A lot of you have messaged me asking me for my insights into ayahuasca and my personal experience and would I recommend it, would I do it again? So many questions around ayahuasca that I just thought, do you know what, let's just do the video now. So here I am speaking to you. I'm doing a video really late tonight and I had no intention of doing a late night video, but hey, I just wanted to get it done whilst it was all fresh in my mind. So like I said, I think it was April, it was either March or April 2014, I flew over to Ecuador and I actually stopped in Miami on the way and then I flew on to Ecuador and I went and I spent a few days in a city and then I flew on to another city, which is where I met up with my mate. I thought, my God, if I'm going to go for that long, like I just need to go and check these places out. Like I'll probably never come back here again. I was petrified a bit about going to South America. I didn't speak the language, or I could speak kind of like half Spanglish. You know, so I was a little bit nervous about it. And also South America, everybody knows it to be really scary, right? You know, my mum was like, what are you going there for? And to be honest with you, I was like, I don't know, I'm just going to go and see this person. My intuition tells me I need to go and see this person. People thought I was crazy. My girlfriends were like, oh my God, this is such a romantic story. You know what us girls get like. We get the bit between our teeth. We start chomping on that bone. And that's it, we're off. So anyway, like I say, it was March, April time in 2014. Whenever Easter was, I basically took 3 weeks off and I went over there. Like I said, I did a couple of days in this particular city, then flew to another city, landed there, got to my beautiful apartment, met up with my friend, got absolutely smashed that night. I didn't realise there was like altitude in this town that I was in, or this city that I was in, and I was like drinking red wine because back then I was party girl, let's be honest about it, and I was smashing the red wine back literally at a high altitude, so of course that was just dangerous. All of a sudden I was white girl wasted. The rest of that night does not need to be spoken about. I think that's probably best said. What I do remember though is that this apartment or whatever that I was staying in had the most incredible like roll top bath, and I had an amazing bath. It was just beautiful. Anyway, had an awesome trip, did loads of cool things, like walked around this city and I was like, oh my God, there's so many drug addicts around here. It was like really quite highly people that were addicted to meth. Like it was pretty full on. Kind of quite scary at times actually. I felt quite vulnerable. Luckily I was with a guy and our guide was a man as well. We also went up this beautiful, can't even think of the word right now. You know when you go up the cliff on a, not a zip line, that's, you know, it's in my mind, it doesn't matter, you guys can post it below. Yes, I'm having a moment of absolute blank in my head. Basically it was amazing. We saw gorgeous views. Again, the altitude was really quite profound. Loads of amazing pictures, you know, with clouds underneath us and just all sorts of really amazing things going on. And whilst we were there, we were both like, look, you know, we've got to go into the jungle and we've got to go to the Galapagos Islands. Like if there's two things that we've got to do, we've got to go into the jungle. And he had done ayahuasca a few times before and he was like, Lucy, you've got to do this. You've got to do this. I promise you it'll be the best experience. Now, I want to be honest with you. I'm not really somebody, like if you had given me back in those days an MDMA capsule or like an E-pill, I would have willingly just taken it and danced my socks off, but I felt very vulnerable doing something that I knew literally nothing about. I'd read about it because he'd said to me like, would you be open to doing this when we're there? And I was like I'm open to anything, you know, but there were certain things about ayahuasca that freaked me out, and I'm going to be really straight with you. So the thought of doing it didn't really freak me out because I knew I'd be safe. Like, I knew he would look after me no matter what. Don't ask me how I knew that. He was a complete stranger at the time. I just knew that I was safe with this person. Our souls knew each other. Not that I human comprehended that at that point, but you know, looking back, I literally trusted this person with my life. I flew across the world to see him and went into the Amazon jungle and did this really crazy, weird ceremony, and I just trusted him. I just knew if I had any problems, he would be there for me, he would look after me. So it kind of like, you know, that side of it was awesome. The things that I didn't really like about the ayahuasca though was, or the things that I'd kind of like built up in my head quite a lot around ayahuasca was, I had everything that I'd read about it, and what I had been told is one of the first things you see when you actually take it and you've gone through the ceremony and you've laid down for a little bit, is a serpent or a snake, like an anaconda type snake. Now, for anybody that knows me, and for those of you that don't, I'm about to tell you, at that point in my life, I was petrified of snakes. And I'm not talking a little bit petrified. If I opened up a book and there was a snake there, I would literally launch it across the room. I'll never forget, my sister and I, my older sister and I had this almost like, was it called an encyclopedia? You know, where you've just got everything in. And there was a page in this encyclopedia with a two-headed snake when I was a kid, and I literally used to be like, like I couldn't be around it. It just freaked me the heck out. It was awful. Now I know, because I've done the work on that, I know exactly why I had that fear, and actually I've been able to step through it and step past it, and I'm actually okay with it. However, at that particular time, I was like, I actually said to the shaman's translator, listen, if I see a snake, I'm going to run away. Like, I am going to totally freak out. I'm going to run away. So I don't know what I can do about this. I'm just not sure if I'm ready to do this. Like, literally, I was talking myself out of it. And yeah, so it was such a fascinating, like, mind screw leading up to it. Like a total mind screw. I was playing, oh my God, I'm going to see a snake. Oh my God, I'm going to run away. Then I'm actually going to see a real snake. Oh my God, then I'm not going to find my way back. So let me give you a little bit of insights from my perspective on ayahuasca. So I'm just giving you my experience. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm literally just telling you this from my experience. So me and my friend went to a place called Tena in the Amazon, and we basically managed to find somewhere. We managed to find a shaman that would take us in and do a ceremony. So if you go to Ecuador, I believe it's a little bit different in Peru, but if you go to Ecuador, people aren't outwardly saying, come with me and do ayahuasca, come with me and do ayahuasca. No, you need to find a shaman that will actually do the ceremony. Now, I also want to say this, I was very lucky. I was with a man when I did this, and somebody who, because of what he's done through his whole life, I knew he could protect me, okay? And I just want to make that really clear. Would I have gone and done this on my own? No, I wouldn't have done it. If I was doing it on my own, I would find somewhere before I went so that I knew exactly what I was going to do. So I just want to make that really, really clear. And also, like, I've actually got some girlfriends that want to do an ayahuasca ceremony, and I've said to them, look, I will fly over to wherever you want to go, like we'll go to Peru or something like that. I'm happy to fly over with you, but I'm not going to do it. And I'll explain that as we go through this video. Please just be really careful. If you're going to do it, go with somebody, from my perspective, from a female perspective, and remember, I can hold my own. Like, I used to professionally Muay Thai fight, so I know I can hold my own. I would just recommend everybody go with somebody to make sure that you're safe. Like, it's safety in numbers at the end of the day, guys, okay? And also, if you do have an experience, at least you've got somebody to comfort you who you know. So my personal experience was, we arrived in this beautiful town, and there was something lovely about it, and it was so weird. I'm not sure if my friend would remember this, but we were walking through this town, and literally everybody was staring at me. Literally everyone was staring at me. And back in those days, I was kind of a bit rude. I was going to say arrogant, but I think I was rude actually. And I'd be like, what the fuck are you staring at? That was kind of my default. If you're staring at me, like, what's your problem? You know, like, And actually, it was so profound, because everywhere I went, these people were just staring at me, to the point that I actually had to say to him, hey, like, these people are staring at me. And he was like, oh, don't be so stupid, don't be so paranoid. And then I was like, just watch. And he was like, oh yeah, they are. And obviously what I know now is that they could see my aura. Back then, I didn't have a clue who I was or what I was capable of doing. I was literally just this little thing that would buzz around, and I'd go out clubbing, and again I'd have lots of people staring at me, which is why I had this attitude of, what the heck are you looking at? And that was kind of my default of like, what, you know, like I'm not anything special. There's a lot prettier girls out there than me, so why are you staring at me? It was kind of that thing. And what was fascinating about it is this was the first real step of me having to surrender to that. I got the awareness, so I was increasing my consciousness on it. Now, I was literally on the equator line at the time. The energy is pretty profound in this place, and you know, we did loads of other cool stuff, but this just isn't about that. You know, it's a really great place if you want to go and visit it. The energy is very profound. Very, very profound. So, cable car, that's what it was. It's just popped in my head. Thank you, guys. Cable car, that's what we went up in. Anyway, so basically, like I said, I was walking through these towns, and it was very, very interesting who and what we stumbled across. And we actually ended up finding this shaman and going to this place and basically doing a ceremony there. There was loads of weird stuff that happened before it, like, you know, people that were dark and all sorts of stuff. And I mean, we should have known from the get-go that this was going to be a pretty profound journey. But we went on to this place, we arrived there, we got put in these little huts in the middle of the jungle. Literally, I walked into my hut and there was a black rat on my bed, and I was like, oh my God, this is a bad omen. Oh my God, this is awful, this is awful, this is you know, like, I mean, a lot of you guys wouldn't even comprehend that me behaving like that. 6 years ago, I behaved like that. 6.5 years ago, I behaved like that. Like, I was so in my mind. And like I say, this person was the person that cracked me open. Like, he exposed me to all of this stuff, cracked me open, and then shut himself down. So ironic, so beautiful. So yeah, we're in the jungle, and like I say, I'm freaking the heck out. Totally freaking out. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to do. He kind of knows what he's doing, and he's chilled as a cucumber, you know. And the shaman's like, you know, do you want to come with us and we'll go and pick the leaves? And I'm like, yeah, cool, like, let's go. So we're wandering around the Amazon, and he's like grabbing this stuff, and then we've got a bowl full, and he takes it back, and it's like, basically, he's going to stew it for the next 4, 5, 6 hours. And at 9 p.m, this is what we were told, at 9 p.m, when it was completely dark, that is when we would go to the place where we do the ceremony, and then from there, basically, we'd go all in. And, you know, managing expectations, it would be the early hours of the morning when we finished. So I went in with an open mind. Like, I loved a party at that point. I was like, I can do this, no problem at all. And then I started speaking to the translator, and I just basically said to him, I'm absolutely bricking this, because if I see a snake, I'm going to totally freak out. And the guy, interesting guy, such an interesting guy, beautiful, beautiful soul. And actually, I've met up with him since this experience. We've kept in touch, and unfortunately, I lost him when Facebook went down, but we kept in touch, and we've met up on a couple of occasions. So, you know, that was really, really cool that we were able to do that. But basically, this guy said to me, Lucy, go to your room and meditate, manifest and speak into existence everything that you want to happen or you do not want to happen. And I was like, I didn't even meditate at this point. I had no clue. He's like, go manifest. And I'm like, I have got no idea even what to do. But I thought, right, all I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat. Literally going to anchor it into my cells. Not that I knew that I was doing this at the time, but I'm just going to repeat, anchor it in, and hope for the best. And what was quite fascinating is I laid on my bed, and I literally said, I'm going to have the most beautiful experience. Everything is going to be divinely perfect. Everything is going to be colourful. I'm going to get insights into a world that I don't even know exists right now. And I literally just spoke into existence this most beautiful, beautiful, happy experience. And then I think my mate came and knocked for me, and we had a little walk around, we had a chat, we spoke to the translator and this lady that was there that was a bit far out. And we had like spoken about their stories and stuff like that, and I'll be honest, it freaked me out a little bit. Anyway, then 9 o'clock came round and it was time to go off with the shaman and do the ceremony. So all four of us, the translator, the lady, me and my guy friend, were all doing it together. Now, we went to this sacred space where everything was set up. There was a fire going. There was an area where the shaman obviously did his thing and like the rituals and everything. And what I found quite interesting was that he called me to go first. Now, I thought to myself, being the person that has never done this before and everybody else there had done it, I thought, right, well, he'll leave me till last. You know, he'll leave me to know, like, so that I know what's going on and I can watch it and I can see and I can feel into it. And oh no, I got called up first. And it was really quite interesting. So there's this, like, he did certain things. He tapped my head. He spat things at me. I know it sounds pretty gross, but it's true. I had to drink something and he would like almost like activate it by spitting stuff at me and and tapping stuff. And there was water and all sorts of bits and pieces. And then his wife kind of like walked me to the side, laid me down and put blankets on me. And she just said, you know, just lie there for about 20 minutes. And that's when I started to go on a bit of a journey, I guess. About 20 minutes in, I started to go on a bit of a journey. And I didn't see a snake. I did not see a snake or a serpent. What I did see was like a kaleidoscope. So it was almost like, and this is quite interesting because my visions now, when I meditate, I'm very, very visionary. For those of you that don't know me, I'm extremely visionary. I get signs by visions. I'm very intuitive and I have this inner knowing. I don't even know how I know what I know, but I do. And stuff rocks out my mouth and I'm like, how do I even know that? But when I meditate is when I get all of my gold. That's when I get the gifts. I'm extremely, extremely visionary. And this was really what activated it, I believe. Because basically I closed my eyes and it was like watching a kaleidoscope. Do you remember when you looked down that thing and at the end there was all these beautiful colours? That's how mine started. And the next thing I was on a merry-go-round, like on the horses on the merry-go-round, and it was just beautiful and it was fun and it was light and it was a fun fair and everything was beautiful and bright and colourful, and honestly it was just so, and I was like, I felt as if I was a child just giggling, and it was so incredibly fun and light-hearted. And like, there's me thinking I'm going to have this really dull, like gross experience where all of my demons are going to come up, and that just isn't what happened for me. And I truly believe it's because I manifested this. So obviously the other people got called up one by one and they went and laid down. Now ayahuasca normally makes people very, very sick. Like they purge, one way or another they purge. And what was quite interesting is that I didn't. Maybe I didn't have enough. I was offered a second round and I was a bit scared, so I think I had a tiny little bit, but not much. So I didn't actually purge at all, which is probably quite an interesting thing for those of you that have done ayahuasca. You probably recommend purging because it pulls all of the darkness out. But actually, I had a really beautiful, enlightening experience. And actually, a lot of the things that I was shown that night was, I love photography. Huge passion of mine. I just love looking at beautiful photographs, scenery, things like that. Just I can immerse myself in it. I absolutely love it. And it was quite interesting because at this period of time I was like, I really want to quit my job and I want to go traveling, but I was, you know, early to mid 30s, and I was like, I'm too old, I'm never going to meet a partner if I go travelling, I'm never going to do this, you know, all the limitations that we, you know, and society puts an age cap on us, doesn't it? If you're not married by 30, you're well past it. And I kind of had those thoughts going on in my head. You know, I worked in a massively male environment. I was earning an absolute fortune, working on the trading floor. Like, I was an amazing project manager. I had a very good reputation and I had so much to lose. Mortgages, cars, you know, places in London, I had a lifestyle that I was addicted to. And for what? Because I wanted to quit my job and go travelling to see the world. And it's very interesting because I'd wanted to go travelling from about the age of 24, but my boyfriend at the time said, if you go, that's it, we're done. So I just didn't go. And actually, I mean, I don't know how my life would have ever worked out if it had been like that. It's just very profound. You just don't know, do you? Everything happens exactly as you need it to. I know that I am here living this life right now because I have to. I have to show other people you don't need to be settled down by 30. You can make choices later on in life. And I know that this is one of the gifts that I bring to the world, is the reassurance that you're not too old. You're never too old. Like I feel like I'm going back in years rather than going forwards. But anyway, I digress as always. So my personal experience with ayahuasca was a very positive one. Like I say, I was shown all of these photographs and it was, you know, beautiful scenes around the world. And I truly believe that is when I made my decision that I was going to go travelling. I do. I feel as if I'd made my decision. I was so fearful, but I made my decision at that point. And then, you know, my physical body later on actually decided to stop working to force me out of the door and go. So we had this beautiful experience. One of the lady there was completely losing it. It was like a bit much, to be honest with you. I think I probably would have had a much more enhanced experience if I hadn't heard her yak, 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 and and all the rest of it, because, like, let's be honest, when you're meddling with this stuff, like, these experiences can happen. People can lose their stuff, and if you are in an environment where you are near that, it's going to distract you, it's going to take you off course. I mean, it might be you be the one going through it, so no judgment. However, for me personally, I want to be really real with you guys, and I feel that it didn't you know, it kind of like lowered my experience, if that makes sense. But I had a great time. I had a really, really beautiful time, and it got to a certain point, I don't know, maybe 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, do you know what, I'm going to go to bed. And I literally just walked back to my room. I got into my room, I was like just seeing shit all night. It was just crazy, but I was starting to rest at the same time. You know, it was a little bit, and then I woke up really early in the morning, and basically from there, my mate said to me, how you feeling? And I'm like, what the heck went on last night? And we went for a little walk, and we were both like, it was just too much with certain energies around us. It was just too much. And we both agreed. We were like, let's just get out of here. Like, let's just get out of here. And what was quite interesting about it was we were supposed to stay and do another ceremony the next day or the day after. But we both were like, nah, we're not doing it. Like, we're just not, it's just not right. But what I loved about it is, first and foremost, that I experienced it. Secondly, that I trusted this complete stranger more than I ever trusted any man in my life. Ever. Like I say, I had literally met him a few months earlier in Thailand, and I know that my granddad put him in my path. I know he did. And I never felt more safe. It was so weird. Like, how can you feel safe in a total stranger's company? Like, that was my, thought process at the time. Totally blew me away. Anyway, we did that. We had such a hoot afterwards. Honestly, we literally left there. I was crying in the taxi because we were laughing so much. It was like we were two naughty school kids, like, running away from where we were supposed to be staying. We were just roaring with laughter. And we went into the town, and we just made the decision there. We were like, yeah, let's go to the Galapagos Islands. You know, let's just do this. You know, that was our intention anyway. But obviously we were just winging life, like completely winging life. And this is one thing that I'm really grateful to him for, is he made me forget the control and all the rest of that stuff. You know, as a project manager, everything was organised. I needed to know where I was going, what I was doing, how I was going to go there. And he just took all of that away from me, which is just freaking awesome, right? And I love when people come into your life and they actually show you where you need to heal. Of course, at the time I didn't realise he was showing me my healing. I thought, you know, like, as amazing as certain things were, he pissed me off so badly as well. Do you get what I mean? Like, this is what people do. Friends, family, this is what we do, right? We ignite each other, but we also... Sorry, I just got distracted because on my CCTV I just saw a fox. I was like, well, that's a bit weird. Very interesting. Clearly there's a sign in that, right? So yeah, it's very, very interesting. We had such a laugh that night. We were just both completely spun out. We didn't know what we were doing. And within however long, a day or two, we were at the airport and we were flying off to the Galapagos Islands, and the Galapagos Islands was phenomenal. Phenomenal. We had some experiences there. That's actually where we both fell out. And, you know, total misunderstanding, total lack of communication. Both of us were mirroring how badly we communicated. I'm too tough, I don't need a man, I'm independent. And he just, I'm not even going to say, you know, because he might watch this. No, we were just very, very poor at communication at that point in our life. Very guarded, very stubborn, very passionate, you know, very, very passionate. We were both right. Like, two people can't be right? So, you know, there was so much of this taking place, but it needed to take place. I truly, truly believe that this person is one of my best teachers. He reminds me what a pain in the arse I am all the time. Literally all the time. Bad communicator, you know, shut down, thinking that you've got it all covered, you know, the levels of stubbornness is just impatience, you name it, all of it. And this is what I love about it. He's basically mirrored all of this crap that I needed to deal with, and that for that, like, I don't care who you are or what you are, if you get the gifts from somebody else showing you exactly what you're like, my God, take it and thank that person. I thank this person all the time for what he activated in me, all the time, because we're very, very close now, you know, and that's great, because the stubbornness in us falling out could have lasted a lifetime, right? There was no reason for us ever to speak again or whatever. But thankfully, about 6 months later, we did actually get back in touch with each other, which is beautiful. You know, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing when somebody can say, do you know what, I was a bit of a dick and I am going to apologise and I hope that you're good. And then from there, slate's clean, you know, which is just amazing. So that was my ayahuasca experience. It was beautiful, it was profound. People ask me constantly, would you do it again? And my God's honest answer is no, I do not need it. I actually wonder if it would do more damage than good if I did it again. If it's something that you're drawn to, go and do it. Just make sure that you go somewhere reputable and you've got somebody with you, is my recommendations. I will never say to people, don't do this or don't do that. You know your path. I do not believe that anybody needs something like ayahuasca to awaken them. I don't. Other people do. If that's your belief system, go do it. I truly believe if you work on yourself and you actually surrender to the journey, I believe that you can do it on your own. Because, you know, after that experience, I went back to the trading floor. So I went to Miami, had a few days in Miami, had a great time. It was so amazing. Stayed at the most beautiful hotel on South Beach, and it was just amazing. And then I ended up flying back to the UK, and I went back to my job. I had to go back to my job. I was working on the trading floor. So I went back and, you know, just got back to normal. And then within a few weeks, so I must have got back April time, within a few weeks, I actually ended up handing my notice in. I ended up handing my notice in and telling my boss I was giving him 3 months notice, basically to get me out of there. Like, you know, I was done. I was absolutely done. My physical body had given up on me. I was carrying extra weight. I was probably about 68, 69 kilos at that point. I was, you know, taking recreational drugs occasionally, not as much as I did when I was younger. I was drinking a lot of alcohol. I wasn't going to the gym. I was eating low vibrational foods, i.e. a Pizza Hut pizza on a Sunday night with a bottle of wine to wash it down. You know, I was going out for wine most nights during the week, and this is what made me so hot-headed. You know, all of the low vibrational activities that I was doing, you know, I was quite promiscuous back then. I didn't really love myself back then. In fact, I didn't love myself at all back then. I didn't really even know what love was at that point. So if you don't know what love is, you don't know how to treat yourself with love. And there are millions and millions of people out there in the world who do not know what love is. And that is the irony of this whole situation. It's so sad that people do not realise what love is. Now, like I say, I had to live that experience, and what ended up happening was my physical body literally gave up on me. I was actually in quite a... I have to pick my words carefully, because I was in a relationship at the end of 2014, and actually the relationship wasn't bad. Like, we had fun together, we laughed together. It didn't last very long because of one thing and another, namely, abusing me when I was away with one of my girlfriends at Christmas, and I just don't stand for that. And it was after I'd split up with the person that it became very toxic. Very, very toxic. Now, I know I needed to live this. I'm grateful to him every day for showing it to me. But things ended up getting extremely toxic, and my health really suffered off the back of it. I had lumps come up in my breast that obviously had to be checked out. And at the time, obviously, I didn't do anything that I do like now for a living, so I had no clue. I just literally went and got them to test me. And there was lots of other things going on with my physical body as well. I ended up in hospital quite a lot of time. Like, literally my body was just giving up, to the point that it eventually burnt out. And I ended up quitting my job in August 2014. I ended up getting out of my job, and I went travelling. And what the beautiful thing about that is I left the UK for 14 months. And when I left the UK, I made a decision that I was going to travel the world. I was going to meet as many amazing people as possible. The only commitment that I had was Christmas. I was going to see my friends in Sydney. I love Sydney. It's my spiritual home. I just love, well, it's where I feel my heart belongs. And yeah, that's the only commitment that I had. Other than that, I could go where I wanted to go. I could do what I wanted to do. Absolutely no strings attached. And what was quite fascinating is I actually started in America. I went to the boxing. I think I went to Mayweather-Madonna. I actually started my travelling watching Mayweather-Madonna boxing in Vegas, and then travelled all up the coast, up to San Francisco, and then from there went over to Asia and just basically went on a beautiful journey. But I was closed off at that point. I didn't do ayahuasca and then have this massive awakening. I didn't, it wasn't something that just changed my whole life. What it did do is it gave me insights that I ended up seeing at a later date. Okay, so I just want to make that really, really clear. It wasn't like this was my awakening. But what this person had done is he'd essentially taken me on a journey, and my soul had gone, why are all these people staring at me? Step number one. Number two, trying something and trusting somebody other than myself. Because I've got this, I've got it covered. Don't worry, I can do it. I don't need anyone's help. Like, I don't need a man to survive, blah, 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 blah. But actually, I surrendered and I trusted this person. That's step number two. Then I went back and I questioned everything. Why am I doing this? There has to be more to life than this. Surely there has to be another way. And that's what started seeing my physical body communicating back with me, burning me out, getting me out of that environment to the point where I had to quit. Now, on the journey, this is where I really see my journey as being a huge change. I was actually in Thailand. I think it was September, October time in 2014, if I remember correctly. I was in a supermarket. So I had a little moped, and I love Thailand so much. I just, that is my spiritual home. I'd ridden my little moped up to this supermarket because you could get certain things like PG tips. And I was a proper tea drinker back then, and there was just some stuff that you could get from this particular supermarket that was kind of British. Just PG tips is one example. I think Marmite was another example. Like, there was just some stuff, and maybe even English chocolate you could get there. Very expensive, but you could get it there. So I'd gone on my moped and I'd parked up and I'd gone in this supermarket and I was buying all of this stuff and loads of fruits and veggies and stuff for my apartment. And I'm stood in this aisle, and I think it was the biscuit aisle, if I remember rightly, and I could hear this woman asking a question. Well, I don't know which one to go for. Which one do you think would be better? And I genuinely heard this, and I just looked at her and looked at what she was looking at, and I just went, if I was you, I'd pick this one because, and then whatever reason I gave her. And this woman just stood there with her jaw open, and I went, are you okay? And she went, are you? This is the first time I ever realised I had gifts. What the woman basically ended up telling me was that I had heard her thoughts. Because I had been looking in a different direction, I thought she had been speaking out loud, literally asking a question, but she wasn't. She was internal dialoguing, and I had overheard it, and I had responded to it, and I totally freaked her out. In a supermarket in the middle of Thailand, Phuket, Thailand, that's what happened. And that is truly where I think things started to change for me. I really started to say, okay, this is weird, I don't know what this is about, but I get it. And we ended up, like, this woman ended up hugging me. I said, I am really sorry, I didn't know that I could do that. I said, I literally heard your words, and I thought you were asking a question and you needed some advice. And I mean, luckily, like, she was good as gold about it, but she must have thought, absolute Fruit Loop. Absolute Fruit Loop. But you can't question it when you know what somebody else is, like, literally you answer the question they've been asking themselves. Absolute crazy, right? So that's really where I see my journey starting, was overhearing somebody's thoughts in a supermarket in Phuket, in Thailand, innocently, with no inner knowing or anything of what I was capable of doing at that period of my life. At that period in my life, I was a director of an investment bank. I was a project manager. I worked on technology. I, was keen to fight professional Muay Thai. I wasn't fighting at that point. It wasn't until the following February that I did my first fight. I was broken. I was physically broken. And here I am starting to hear this, and I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm going crazy. I've literally lost it. And like I say, that was September, October 2014 when that first incident happened. Was it due to ayahuasca? I don't know. Was it because I'd started to surrender and step into my divine feminine? I don't know. I feel that that's what it was. I feel by meeting this person, a lot changed. A lot changed. I had an awareness of myself that I'd never had before. I had to up my level of communication better than I ever did. And what was quite interesting, when I landed in Thailand in September, October time, I actually met somebody literally within a couple of days of being there, and we ended up falling in love and going on a huge journey together. That's my ex-partner. We were together about 4 years, something like that, and like we felt head over heels in love. And what is quite interesting is that he showed me how to heal, and again, he's got no clue. Like, he's completely closed off. He's open to tarot and he's open to things like that, but this person was put in my life to help me heal the wounds from my ex-partner, the lack of communication, the lack of love that I would ever allow myself to have. And as much as I ended up I didn't sabotage that relationship, that's a bit of a harsh thing to say. I ended up ending that relationship because I knew that I had to go on my soul mission and I couldn't ignore it any longer. But he is the person that I wholeheartedly hold responsible for me healing my heart and actually stepping into this vibration of love that I share with the world. And I believe that all of these pieces of the puzzle were essential for me to get to where I am and at the level of ascension that I am now. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Like, I will speak more about that over other videos, but I just wanted to share some of the insights into this part of the journey, because I think what I'm going to do next, do I share my Guatemala journey next, even though that's a few years down the line, or do I fill in a few more blanks along the way? I don't know. I'm tempted to just share my Guatemala journey because it is so freaking profound. But there was so much that happened in between that and that I don't know. Who knows? It's going to be like a little game, isn't it? I'm going to share the last insights with you just in case you haven't watched it. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it because it sets it up essentially, and it's just going to be a really beautiful series for you guys to watch. Guys, I love you very much. Thank you for your time as always. I will see you in the next video.